Blog Talk Radio.
Across the country and around the world, streaming live on the internet, it's Real Estate Coaching Radio, bringing you the latest news, interviews, and secrets of the top producers. Hosted by award-winning real estate coaches, Tim and Julie Harris.
All right, we're back, everyone, broadcasting live from lovely Austin, Texas. This is Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching Radio. So this is going to be an interesting show, and a lot of you have made comments that you appreciate the fact that we're varying what we present to you every single day. And the topic of today's show is going to be specifically geared towards those of you who basically need an immediate survival plan. I'm going to be getting into more details of that in a second. And then tomorrow, Julie and I are going to go back to talking about the things to do when you get stuck or as far as motivation goes. And our thinking is if we can vary the content, vary the topics, that we will have more potential listeners. And remember, your homework from every day from listening to our radio show is to share it with at least, a handful of other agents. Whomever you know that's not listening, please help us get the word out. So without any further delay, I want to introduce you to, or reintroduce many of you to my lovely wife, Julie. And Julie is going to be telling us a hopefully interesting, too soon to tell, coaching story about something she's experienced today from all of her own coaching calls. So, Julie, what do you have for us today?
Sure, you got it. All right, right from Las Vegas, Nevada, one of my newer coaching clients, private coaching clients. His name is Walter. And Walter's an interesting fellow. He's actually originally from Ireland, and he finds himself in Las Vegas. He had a great story. I always ask, and as do you on our coaching calls, what is the best thing you've done in the past week since our last call to make you and your family more money? Okay, so we kind of cut right to it. What have you done to make more money? And he said, well, you'll be proud of me because I called all of my past clients. Now, Walter hasn't been doing real estate forever. He's had a pretty good career so far, but he does not have a huge list. I asked him how many people he called and what his results were. So since our last call, he's actually made contact with 60 people. He did that by calling between 5 and 10 per day and then having some streaks of production here and there where he did a little bit more. But he didn't call all 60 in one afternoon. He thought it out, he planned his day, scheduled it, and he took care of it. Well, he's been able to follow up on 2 buyer leads and actually already has them in contract. He has a listing appointment as a result and several more various leads that will or will not turn into something. So 2 buyers in contract and 1 listing from calling 60 people that took him about a week and a half to do. Not bad.
That's true.
So the
that isn't bad at all.
So, I think a lot of agents would look at that list and go, oh, my gosh, I got to call 60 people. What am I going to say? We talked a lot about his scripts, not to get overly worked up about it. His job is to reconnect. We talked about the Ford script. We did several little mini scripts, which he did a great job at. And, now he's got more pending as a result. Pretty fast, action there. I was impressed, I have to say.
Yeah, so the moral of the story from what I heard you say is that you gave him a very specific assignment, and you told him exactly what to say, and you held him accountable to actually getting it done. And, guess what? He's actually going to make money as a result.
Fancy
right?
that. Yeah.
And the best thing is also is the script that you gave him wasn't necessarily some rigid formatic, say this type script. It was essentially him being himself and just, I assume mostly just doing a nice cursory check-in, how do you do, and then asking him for business. Right. So, it's interesting, Julie, that so many agents are more willing to call strangers than they are willing to call their own centers of influence and past clients.
I know.
Why do you think that is? Considering the centers of influence and past clients are going to be easier, more friendly calls, why do you think so many agents resist making those calls?
I think it's the story they make up in their mind about how long it's been since they talked to them, as if that person put a gold star on the calendar the last time you made that call or sent that postcard, And I hear you saying this on your coaching calls, too, to remember, people are not really thinking about you. They're thinking about their own scenario. They're thinking about what's on their grocery list this afternoon. Don't make stories up about what they're thinking about you or not thinking about you. Just make the call and reconnect. And it's funny because one of Walter's feedback was that his issue now is getting off the phone fast enough with them because they just want to talk and chat and, reconnect, which is kind of the point of the call. But I think that some agents just get so wound up thinking and overthinking and getting ready to get started to maybe call if they feel it's the right person and the right time of day, that they never actually end up taking any action. And look what happens when you do. You know, he lived to tell about it. He loved the calls. It was great. Go ahead.
I think in some cases the sellers, the agents are fearful that the sellers might not have anything pleasant to say to them, or they're fearful that the seller is going to, who knows what. And guys, listen, if there's something from one of your past transactions that you're not proud of, or that you want to, or maybe should have apologized for, that's your opportunity to apologize for it. But I mean, the main thing here is that we know, and this will always be true, that people will, generally speaking, do business first with somebody that they know. You know, we can talk forever about that fact, but here's the bottom line. When you guys are trying to decide who you're going to do business with, if you just found out today, for example, that you needed to have your furnace fixed, I know most of the country is still deep in the winter, but so let's use a furnace. Your furnace breaks. You're not going to go right to the Yellow Pages if you know somebody. You're not going to respond to a solicitation in the mail if you know somebody, are you? No. You're basically, the first question you're going to ask yourself is, do I personally know someone? Have I used somebody in the past? The different studies have been done on the buying patterns of folks, but really the bottom line is almost all the potential buyers make their decision based on someone they've previously used, something like 70, 75%. And after that, the pattern shows that, you know, people, if not knowing somebody, what they then respond to is an ad. So, then they'll ask for a referral from somebody that they know, trust. Right. And then after that, they'll respond to an ad. But I do remember, I'll have to look at my notes to find the exact numbers, but something like 5 or 6% of people actually choose the professional they're going to work with based on an ad, and a vast majority of them are working with someone they've worked with before or a referral from a trusted friend or an advisor. Now, a lot of you are correct, I think, in your thinking that social networking can reinforce those relationships. It can. But the mistake that agents make with social networking now especially is not reminding folks that you're in business, not asking for the business. It's too easy to convince ourselves that, well, they know I'm in business and, you know, they'll think of me when it comes to buying or selling real estate. But that isn't how life works, and here's why. So, Julie, let's tell our car insurance story, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Julie.
Yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, you know, what I remember, I think you're talking about when we would go to Starbucks, and here was our local insurance guy that was always at Starbucks, always sitting there, you know, doing whatever. But, you know, he wasn't really, I don't remember why we knew he was in insurance. I guess we had just run into him somewhere.
You went when you would go swimming in the morning, and his dad was there, who also was in the insurance business.
That's right.
And then the son we'd run into him all the time at Starbucks, and he knew we sold a lot of houses in this particular area, and never once, I mean, he literally saw us with buyers writing contracts, you know, sellers writing listing contracts.
He saw homeowners insurance, you know, required at closing. Never once did he ever ask us to do business with us. We had other people we were sending the business to, but had he asked us, of course we would have sent him leads. Of course we would have sent him business. It would have been the easiest thing for him in the world, but he never asked us. And I remember thinking about this years later about why the heck he never asked us for that business. And the conclusion was, in my mind, basically what I was coming up with is a story. And the story was, well, he must not be asking us because he's too busy. And the second thing I remember telling myself is, well, he must not be asking us because maybe he just doesn't want to do residential or whatever. Both of those things weren't true. And eventually my mind started making up another excuse for him for not asking us. Oh, he just must not like us. And we knew that wasn't true because we talked to him all the time. You know, and Julie did the swimming class with his dad. So the reality of it was is that we would, you know, build up over time this sort of elaborate reason, all of which reflected poorly on him. You know? So he never asked us. So in our minds, we worked out this long, elaborate reasoning why he never asked us. Your clients are doing the same thing. You know? Do they think that you're in real estate? If they haven't heard from you in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, choose your time frame, what if they think about you at all, what are they thinking?
Exactly. You could have literally people in your neighborhood that you sold houses to, and because you have not asked them for business directly, and you're being assumptive, in other words, you're acting like you're entitled to the business, you're thinking that you're going to get those listings this spring. I have news for you. You're competing for those, and you might not get them because they're, at this point, making up the same types of stories that I made up in my mind on a subconscious level about, this insurance guy. I convinced myself that he was too busy, he didn't give a damn, he didn't want the business, and then maybe he didn't like us. That's what I was telling myself. I promise you, your centers of influence and past clients are making up the same stories on a very subliminal – think about it. If you guys are in that same position as we were in Starbucks, wouldn't your mind eventually try to solve the question as to why this guy isn't soliciting to do business with you? And none of the reasons would be very good, would they? So don't let that happen to you.
It's actually weirder that he didn't ask than had it been if he did ask, right? And all of you guys are like, well, I don't know if I want to ask for business. It's actually a lot stranger if you don't. And I always use the example, Tim, if your best friend just got their dentist license and opened up their practice and they didn't ask you who your dentist is, wouldn't you feel kind of weird about that?
Like they weren't confident.
Something's up with that,
you'd think like, well, they weren't confident, or you might even tell yourself, well, they just don't want to work on my teeth. Maybe my breath stinks.
You start making stuff up.
And so that's what your centers of influence and past clients will do with you if you don't solicit them, if you don't actually call them. They know you sell stuff, and I know some of you still have an issue with being considered a salesperson. Go to your state, get a copy of your license, and at the top it says salesperson's license, I'm guessing. It doesn't say home counselor, home advisor, or what are these other elaborate terms you guys try to, paint yourself with. And another little side thing for you to think about, if you don't say salesperson, if you don't say realtor, if you don't say something letting people overtly know you're in the business of buying and selling, because some of you are just uncomfortable considering yourself salespeople, people won't know what the hell you do for a living. We've had that happen.
To your income.
Right. We've had that happen. We've had new coaching clients come to us, and, we get to know them. I ask for their business cards. I look at their websites, and nowhere on it would I just automatically think these people are salespeople because they didn't say they're salespeople. And if I were a seller looking for an aggressive salesperson, listing agent, I promise you if I went to a website where the agent was calling themselves a home counselor or any of these other trendy terms that people come up with, there's no way I would hire them, okay? You have to be thinking not about yourself, but about how people are perceiving how you're presenting yourself in the community. They know you sell stuff for a living. Don't be ashamed of it. Just be the best at it. So getting to the heart of why people don't solicit their centers of influence and past clients, really, it's because they don't know what to say, they don't know how to say it, and they don't know how to overcome or deal with any of the potential issues that might happen very rarely by making centers of influence and past client contacts. Those are all the types of things that we cover in the coaching program. But the bottom line is do it now, especially this time of year, and you'll be stunned and amazed how quick you're going to get results. There's a absolute pent-up demand for housing right now. Obviously, a lot of markets are suffering shortages of listings, but there was another story. Julie, did you have a chance to read the blog today?
Not yet, but I can do that quickly.
Well, you don't have to. I'll just summarize it. I put a story up there that shows that new builder confidence has dropped more in like month over month than it ever has in the history that they've been tracking new builder confidence things, which is like 30 years. So builders are, I forget what the exact term is. It's not confidence, but it's essentially the same thing. It's on the blog, realestateinsidernews.com. They're anticipating or they're fearful that things are getting worse, not better, as far as they're concerned. Now, the hypothesis is that's just them reacting to a slower buyer demand because of the weather. That's possible. The other theory is that they can't build as many houses because the people that were working for them during the boom building houses are now doing something else and they can't find qualified laborers. That's possible. And the other theory is, they can't have access to the supplies that they need to build houses because the companies that were making all the supplies before haven't ramped up their production of shingles and whatnot fast enough to keep up with demand. Or it could be all three. But here's the point. The real question is has the buyer activity dropped off because the weather, or has the buyer activity dropped off because there is a very clear, big turn that's going to be happening in many real estate markets later this year? I'll give you the honest answer. I don't know. What I think is going to happen is it's possible that the second half of this year we're going to be talking about what the hell happened to the housing market. I think that's possible based on some of these early warning signs that we're seeing, and the housing confidence or the new builder confidence level, I think, is certainly an indicator of that. It's too soon to tell because it's barely the middle of February. But if I were you, I would definitely be focusing on getting ready for whatever might be coming, hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. The inner Boy Scout in me will tell you to do. And that just makes sense. Be prepared for what might happen, hoping that it doesn't happen, something that, frankly, a lot of you, I'm sure, wish you would have done back in 2007. So Julie and I are going to take a real short break, and when we come back, the topic of today's show is, Miss Julie?
Topic of today's show is we have the real estate survival plan is what I'm calling it, but also subtitle, How to Never Be Broke in Real Estate Again as Long as You Live.
Okay, good enough, right? All right, so we'll be right back, and please pay attention to this next commercial. It's very important.
I have a question for you, and this is probably a question you've been wondering about for your entire real estate career. You've probably asked yourself, how did the nation's top 10% of all agents manage to make 90% of the commissions? Maybe the top 10% were just in the right place at the right time, and if you had the opportunities that they were given, you too would be massively successful. Listen, you are now in the right place at the right time. Take 2 seconds now and visit agentcoachingsecrets.com to grab your VIP spot on our exclusive, free, upcoming online presentation, Secrets of the Millionaire Agent. That's right. We're providing this presentation online so you can easily attend. You will now have in your possession the closely guarded secrets of the richest of the rich agents, their exact how-to information, and we've made it super easy for you. Visit agentcoachingsecrets.com to register now, and as a way of saying thank you for attending the event, we're going to give you a copy of the Real Estate Treasure Map business plan. You may now be feeling what other agents are feeling about upcoming shifts in the real estate market. We've heard from thousands of fellow agents who say their number one fear is yet another shift in the real estate market that they aren't prepared for. There is another shift coming, and you need to be ready. Before it's too late, visit agentcoachingsecrets.com and grab your VIP spot on our exclusive, free, upcoming online presentation, Secrets of the Millionaire Agent. When you do, you'll be given exclusive VIP access and a free copy of your real estate business plan, the Real Estate Treasure Map. This is the business plan used by many of the nation's superstar agents. Without another second delay, visit agentcoachingsecrets.com and lock in your VIP spot for the free Secrets of the Millionaire Agent presentation. You're about to have in your possession the exact tools, tips, and secrets that have, before now, been the exclusive domain of the nation's millionaire agents. Take action now and register at agentcoachingsecrets.com. Again, that's agentcoachingsecrets.com.
Julie, does that commercial sound a little sinister to you?
Yeah, that's that. I always imagine him in like a black hoodie doing that.
He sounds like the evil villain from Batman.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah,
that's exactly.
It's funny.
Anyway, all right. So let's get again, guys. Go to the blog realestateinsidernews.com and make sure you read the article I put up there. There's a video too. I always try to put videos for every article. It makes it more interesting. I know. And read about this builder sentiment report. Very interesting. The way I would treat it if I were all of you, and frankly the way I'm treating it with all my coaching clients, is I'm personally seeing it as an early warning sign. So if you were one of my personal coaching clients, I would be going into a form of survival mode now, which we're going to talk about today. In other words, I would be anticipating, preparing for cash flow-wise, business-wise, expense-wise, for a slowdown. Now, by anticipating it, do I create it? No, I do not. If I'm wrong that there is not a slowdown, what have I done? I've just made myself stronger and better positioned to take advantage of an improving market. But, you know, guys, a 10% drop in the builder sentiment report is a historic drop. Some of the things that are happening with mortgages, some of the things that are happening with interest rates. Here's another little news story for a lot of you in case you're not reading the blog. Did you know that HAFA expired? Did you know, we mentioned this yesterday, didn't we? Did you know that interest rates now on all those people with loan modifications are going to start going up because in most cases those reductions in payments were tied to reduced interest rates, which are now expiring, and so they're going to start adjusting back up? There are a lot of, frankly, known issues that we're going to have to overcome this year to continue to have any sort of resemblance of a housing recovery. And I'm optimistic for all of you, but at the same time I'm cautious. So you too need to be cautiously optimistic and, be a Boy Scout. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Worst thing going to happen is basically you're over-prepared and thus positioning you to take advantage of whether opportunities come. And the other thing is, don't psychologically convince yourself, as so many people do, that you can only make money in one if the market's going in one direction. I'll tell you guys a real quick true story. I won't give you the background. I'll just cut to it. So I knew a stockbroker, and this stockbroker basically was somebody I got to know fairly well, and this is before Julie and I were in real estate. He was actually one of the clients of another business that we had. So he was I remember on this one particular day, I contacted him, and he was having a fantastic day. He was happy. He was cheerful. He was all these other things. And because the stock market had gone up, and I bought a few stocks from him, nothing really, spectacular. This was back when Julie and I were in college. Then I remember it wasn't even a week later that the stock market crashed. I think it was September of 1989. I don't remember when, but the stock market totally crashed. So when the stock market crashed, again, I called him up. I was, he contracted me to do certain work for him, and sure enough, still in a great mood. And I got to thinking about this. Here I am, I'm hearing the news channels bemoan, this horrible market. The market crashed 300 points, and all these people, and all this doom and gloom. And here's a stockbroker guy that was having a great day regardless of what direction the market was going. So I asked him, I was a kid, I was 19, so I asked him, I said, so what the heck is up with this? Why aren't you, jumping off tall buildings like everyone said would happen when the stock market crashed? He goes, Tim, I get paid no matter what direction the market goes. I get paid commission when the market goes up, and I get paid commission when the market goes down. When people call me to buy stock or sell stock, I get paid. It does not matter. This was before there was a lot of online trading. So he didn't care what direction the market went, not really, because he was making money literally coming and going. So that stuck with me for years and years and years. And every time I heard somebody moan about the fact that it's a bad market, especially when Julie and I started selling real estate, I remembered back to that experience and thought to myself, for who? The opportunities just changed. The market shifted. There is no bad market. There's only a lack of skills knowing how to take advantage of the market that's in front of you. So that stayed with me for years and years and years, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So please remember that, guys. Don't convince yourselves that, I was remembering back, Julie, back in, 06, 07, there were, 1.3 million? I heard one, NAR I don't think actually officially said it, but there's something like 2 million agents. And then as a result of the bust, it dropped to half that or something. And I think now that the total rosters of NAR, they don't say how many, but I think it's close to 1 million again. Well, that means there's 1 million people that believed that they could only make money when the market was going one direction up. That's crazy.
It is.
It's interesting, though, isn't
Very
it?
telling.
Yes. It all. Yes, your success, guys, your bank account balance really does have everything to do with how you think and then what you learn, and most importantly, the actions that you take. So, again, the topic of today's radio show, Julie.
Topic of today's radio show is officially Agent Cash Flow Challenges, How to Never Be Broke Again, otherwise known as the Survival Plan.
So let's get right into this. Now, Julie, when do you normally I have the survival plan right in front of me. When do you normally present this survival plan? Give me, for example, who this will apply to, because I know this is something you use all the time.
Well, there's actually 8 different scenarios, which I can go through pretty quickly because, based on the title, everybody would think, well, it's only when you're having a cash flow panic attack. Well, that's the most obvious place that you're going to use it. We call that the 3 a.m. real estate night sweats, right? Where am I going to pay my next, how am I going to put gas in my car type of thought in the middle of the night. But when do you use it? Number 1, when you're having a temporary, meaning 30 to 60-day cash flow issue. Number 2, when you're struggling financially and actually have 0 cash reserves for whatever reason. Number 3, when you have nothing pending currently, you may not quite yet feel a cash flow crunch, but if you have nothing pending, you can kind of see what direction you're headed. Number 4, when you are listless, as in you have 0 listings. Let me be clear on that. When you have pending listings, you are listless. I'm talking about active listings, which are your future income. Does this make sense, Tim? You want me to keep going?
It does. No, it does.
Okay.
But I think that's really important. This is an epidemic of California agents. You'll ask them how many listings they have, and they include their pendings. Us folks from Ohio, we don't do that.
That's how many pendings you have. That's not how many listings you have. Big difference.
Exactly.
So when you're listless. Number 5, when you are recovering from a big financial hit, again, for whatever reason, could be taxes, could be medical, who knows. Maybe your car needed a big repair. Number 6, when you have extra bills you hadn't planned for, kind of related. Number 7, when you just lost some deals you were counting on for income, not that that ever happens. And number 8, when you are in, quote, rebuilding mode for whatever reason. So those are our most common reasons for presenting this material.
Rebuilding mode is sometimes known as I'm going to, quote unquote, get back to the basics. That's something else that you people hear that people will often say, or and it makes sense too when you find yourself in a situation where you've gone off course to the point where you're not making any money. You do have to get back to the basics, but this survival plan really is about the basics. It's giving you a specific action plan to follow. And then here's a little suggestion for all of you: never, ever, 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 ever get away from, quote unquote, the basics. This survival plan, Julie, it's designed for 90 days, basically, isn't it? Or 60 days?
It's designed to get you out of, quote, survival mode as fast as possible, but realistically 60 to 90.
Okay, so here's a thought for all of you. Use this plan over and over again every 60 to 90 days. Just keep on doing it. That's your perpetual business cycle. You never stop using this plan. You don't just all of a sudden start basically, where you got to the point where you have some closings again and say, screw it, I'm going to go back to the old bad habits that got me in the position of almost being destitute. You're going to stay focused on what it was that got you unstuck or dug out of that hole, and you're not going to change direction on that. You're going to stay moving in the right direction. We talked about momentum on this radio show before. So continue, Jules, with the plan.
Perfect. All right, so here's the secret. This plan, as we've been discussing, is not just for new agents. Even top producers, seasoned veterans, you guys have to use the survival plan from time to time. So the goal here is for you to become a strong enough business person and real estate agent so you don't have to use the survival plan very often, but also to give you peace of mind and to give you confidence that you know what to do when you run into these scenarios. For some of the grizzled veterans, Tim, it's when, their biggest transaction, something happens with it, seller backs out or a short sale has a problem, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's because they get a big surprise tax bill that they had to get their savings account over. These are normal problems. Yeah,
we had that happen.
I can't name a single coaching client that doesn't have some kind of history with something like that.
Well, but it's almost like it's a rite of passage for any. It's a rite of passage for any top producer. I remember what it was, Julie. When we were selling real estate, it's probably 15 years ago now. I remember we, essentially weren't minding the store as far as the accounting and and then boom, surprise, wake up one day and you had a huge tax bill. We didn't make that mistake again. We knew what we did wrong and we will never do that again. And it's very normal. And some of you, unfortunately, because you do go from feast and famine in terms of your income, in terms of your good months followed by bad months, followed by good months, followed by who knows what, you don't have an opportunity to set aside taxes. You certainly don't have an opportunity to set aside any money for savings, and that results in you never having any money. You're essentially borrowing from yourself, usually in the form of credit cards and sometimes HELOC money if you can have access to it, on the bad months, and then you don't pay it back when you have the good months because the good months aren't big enough to pay back the bad months. This cycle can repeat for years to the point where it's no longer sustainable, and unfortunately that's when you guys have a financial meltdown. The key is to recognize the cycle early on and don't allow yourself to do it. Literally never borrow money to start a business or to sustain it. Don't borrow it from yourself. Don't borrow it at all, especially in real estate. You don't need to go in debt to be a successful agent. Anyone that tells you otherwise, you need to be asking yourself, okay, well, if you're telling me that I should go in debt in order to be a successful agent following your particular program, what you're really saying is your particular program is not going to work anytime soon. Right? So that might not be something you guys want to pursue. Yeah, exactly. Okay,
exactly.
good. So
something
go ahead.
to think
I'm sorry.
about. All right.
Yes.
So again, it's not just for newbies. This can happen to anybody at any time. So I always recommend that you print off this plan, and the second you have any inkling of, oh my gosh, what's going on with me financially, you just whip this plan out and you follow it verbatim. So survival plan rules. Number 1, follow the plan. It's a temporary 30 to 90 days survival plan. It's not the rest of your life. There's certain things you're going to do under this plan that you're going to do for a reason. It's to kickstart you back into cash flow. So when you follow it, you'll be able to get out of, quote, survival mode a lot faster. Don't stop and start. Don't decide which points you're going to do, which points you're not going to do, what's for you, what's not for your market. Just forget about all that. You don't have time to think about that. Number 2, again, don't pick and choose what you're going to implement. Just do all of it. Number 3, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just do the work and be in action. This is a proven plan. And I got to tell you, Tim, I've got lots of, from the superstar interviews, most of those guys have been in the survival mode plan one time or another, some of them longer than others. But we know it works. Just listen to the superstar interviews.
I was going to say, one thing that the superstars, or people that have gotten to the point where we consider them superstars, they were willing to take action. It's another thing for you to present the survival plan to somebody and they just don't do anything with it. So really the survival plan, like everything in life, only works when you're willing to make the effort. If you're not willing to make the effort, then, guess what? Your suffering will continue. The point of the survival plan is to snap you out of your current situation so you can get back on track.
Exactly. So speaking of which, point number 4, do nothing but dollar productive activity during the survival plan.
What's dollar productive activity? Help us understand that.
Well, in real estate, that's only a handful of things, and most of it has to do with lead generation or lead follow-up. So most important thing of all is, of course, generating the lead in the first place, then relentless lead follow-up. Assuming you've done those 2 things, which are most critical at the highest level, then you'll be required to do the next thing, which is pre-qualify, present, negotiate, and close. If you find yourself doing something other than that list during your, quote, work day, you're not working. You're just screwing around. I'm sorry to be that direct, but these are the things that make you money in real estate.
Well, but Julie, I was told that I'm supposed to spend so much time every single day on social networking.
And how many deals can you track directly to your social network?
Well, okay, that's true. I can't track any, but I was told that I have to do it
if you massage Facebook enough that something magical will come, right? That's
right.
there to support the rest of your work, not to be the work.
But hold on. I have to create a brand in my community. Otherwise, how am I ever going to be known? I have to be known as the agent of choice in my community. So if I'm doing all this other stuff, how am I ever going to create a brand?
And how are you paying for your brand?
Right. Guys, all these types of thoughts that you have, I could throw out tons of them because we hear these from you guys every single day. The other ones we hear are, I need to work on my website, or I need to get a direct mail piece done, or, you know what? Building your team. All these things do have value, but they're not the types of things you should be doing if you're wanting to make money quick. If you're wanting to snap yourself out of some sort of self-imposed depression, financial depression, you have to take the actions that will make you money. If you want to talk about building your team and building your brand, and if you want to talk about all these other types of things, you only can afford to do that, and I mean financially afford and, psychologically afford. You can only afford to do that after you've done the other work. If you do it beforehand, you will be really, really, frankly, in a desperate situation as the weeks and months continue. So keep all these things in mind, guys. This really is in your control. Your financial future is in your control. It's not dependent on the economy. It's not dependent on the president. It's not dependent on your broker. It's not dependent on the office. It's not dependent on the interest rates. It's not dependent. None of those things. You have to take responsibility, and the way you take responsibility is through your actions. Common sense-wise, what we're telling you, it makes absolute sense, doesn't it? You can't really, in your mind, even come up with a legitimate reason why what we're saying isn't something you should be doing. So if you're struggling with doing these basic activities on a consistent high level, then, that's something that you're really going to have to ask yourself, am I serious about this business? Am I serious about my goals? Am I truly serious about accomplishing these things that, I thought I did? And if you're not, maybe this is an opportunity for you to consider a career change. Seriously. You don't have to stay in this business if it's not for you. But assuming it is, assuming this is what you should be doing, assuming this is something where you really want to build a legacy for yourself and for your family, then you're going to have to learn how to work consistently, doing things that, frankly, not every time do you feel like doing. That's the key. Julie, what was it again? Working at a high level, doing things that you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. Mm-hmm. When you don't want to do them. I mean, that's really the undeniable key to success. So, Julie, I know we had some email questions come in from yesterday's show, but before I get to some of those questions, and as you prepare for the next segment of today's radio show, we're going to take another, and this is a quick break,
sure.
Only 30 seconds.
You're listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris. Are you ready to ask Tim and Julie your toughest real estate sales, business, or lead generation question? Call us now at 347-857-1195 or email your question to questions@realestatecoachingradio.com. Now, back to Tim and Julie Harris.
All right, so again, you guys have the information there to email questions@realestatecoachingradio.com. And I'm going to get to some of the email questions towards the end of today's show. They don't have necessarily a direct relevance on what we're talking about today, so I want Julie to cover some more of her points because I know a lot of this information is information that will, in many cases, turn your businesses around, and I'm excited to be able to help so many of you. So, Julie, without any further delay.
All right, perfect. So back to our very specific rules. Number 5, do not spend even more money that you do not have during the survival mode. We're having a spending moratorium. No more credit card debt. No more robbing Peter to pay Paul type of activity. That's probably what got you in this place in the first place, or maybe you're still paying that off from years and months past. Not doing that anymore. We call it savings because it's savings. We don't call it spendings. And I'm very hardcore with my clients about this that are going through this, that this is a temporary thing. The goal is to get back into reserves and away from debt. And if however long that takes, they're so much better when they get there, it's not even funny. So, point number 6. Do you want me to keep going, or shall I beat on them further?
No, this is good. But I'm curious. No, beat on them further, but I'm curious.
Okay.
So I wonder how many people listening today have any real clue what their daily, as we call it, burn rate is, right? What their daily financial burn rate is, how much they actually take their families, whomever they're responsible for.
Fun exercise
money.
That we do.
Well, let's walk them through that, guys, because that's an illuminating experience. Because, when you figure out how much money you actually take every single day to exist, just to continue, just to, keep your lights on, to keep food in your belly and those in, your family. When you actually figure that out and you know what that number is, trust me when I tell you, accountability is at your doorstep. So, Julie, tell them how they'd figure that out.
Yeah, and I can feel people squirming on this call, can't you? I can just see them, looking for something else to do right now. I don't have my calculator on my desk,
Update Facebook.
Yeah, I got to go. I got an appointment, maybe. Okay, so it's normal to have a little freak out about this because it is kind of a tough thing to go through, right? So here is the God's honest truth. You got to live through this, and then you'll be relieved to know what the number is. So here's the thing. It costs something to run you. You eat, you pay your utilities, you probably have a car payment, you at least put gas in your car. There is a cost of running you, okay? You have a cost of operation. So to figure that out, you look at it just on a personal basis. Let's just take that. So what do you spend on groceries? What are your basic credit card bills, your utilities, your house payment, car payment, all of that kind of stuff? And be honest, look at your checkbook, your credit card statements, everything that you're doing, and come up with a number. Then you're going to divide that simply by 30 days. So you come up with a monthly expenditure divided by 30 days, and it will show you what it costs you per day to run you. Cost of you being alive on this planet, okay? Usually people come up with anywhere between $100 and $300, I'd say typically is what I find. And so what this means is today, if you didn't do anything to not just replace that, but move yourself above that number, let's say it's $300, you're falling behind. And see, the issue with real estate is because at best the pay cycle is, unusual to be paid in 30 days if you put something in contract today. It's more like 45, 60, maybe 90 days. If you
especially
sold
with these
something
new mortgage
today,
regs. Yeah,
that's right.
Especially with the new mortgage regulations.
Yeah, so if you are kind of a slacker today, it takes that long for you to actually feel the result versus how you should be thinking to cure this problem, which is what did I do today to pay for today plus some? And this is why one of the things on the survival plan we talk about BPOs, but we'll get to that.
Well, so to Julie's point, right, you're experiencing financial a closing today. That's not from work you did yesterday or certainly today. That's work you did 6 months ago or maybe a year ago or maybe 90 days ago. It's called the payment cycle in real estate. And, guys, Julie was talking about what it takes to run you as an individual, but a lot of you have families to pay for. You have house payments to set aside for. You have all these other expenses. So if you take how much money you personally have to earn per month, and again, I have never once done this exercise with any business person, real estate people primarily, where they actually knew how much money they had to earn.
No,
down to the cent, or at least down to $100. How much they're always guessing, and they always guess $5,000, or the other answer is $10,000. They don't have a clue. Figure it out, because once you do, again, figure in all your expenses, not just your personal expenses. And Julie's not talking about the amount of money you spend in Nordstrom. She's talking about the amount of money.
No, I'm not even talking about what you want to spend. I'm talking about what you actually spend.
That's right. And so when you figure that number out, you divide it by 30 average days in the month, and then you're going to come up with a number, as Julie says, typically $200 or $300. And every day that you're not, this is the way to think about it. It's a psychological game you're playing with yourself, because so much of your success in this industry is dependent on how you think. So if you start thinking in terms of, if I have not earned $200 or $300 today, I'm actually essentially falling behind. So, and again, the habit that so many of us get into, thinking that we're going to have some big closing that's going to catch up for all of our past misdeeds, that's what makes you broke. It's your daily activities. It's the things that you do every single day, even when you don't feel like doing it. That's where the difference comes in. That's what the survival plan is all about. So open your mind to the reality that, yes, this is a brilliant business. Yes, this is an incredible opportunity for you to make a fortune, but it's also a lot of downside risk. A lot of, you're doing everything on speculation. You get no regular paycheck. You have no health insurance. You have a lot of stress that is normal and natural when put in that situation. But the flip side to it is you have massive upside when you're successful. Learn to be successful more often. Do what's necessary. Julie, what's the next point in the survival plan?
All right, so the next point in the survival plan is number 6, get an accountability partner to help support you as you work through the plan, somebody that is like-minded. Some of my clients, their accountability partner isn't even in real estate. It's somebody that's doing something else but is like-minded, positive, and reinforcing, not somebody that's going to be critical and tell you 100 reasons why the plan won't work.
That's right.
So get a real accountability partner.
Your accountability partner should not be somebody who's trying to be your coach, and you're going to be the accountability partner for that person, and you're not trying to be their coach. You're just basically telling this person, if you have a coach, somebody like us, and then you can have us as your accountability partner, because you better believe that whatever you commit to, we're going to be holding you accountable to. That's what you're paying us to do. Help you set realistic goals, help you create a plan to accomplish the goal, and do everything in our power to make sure you do what you say you're going to do. So if you don't have that, then find somebody else, maybe an office manager, probably not, but you'll have to probably search out, because, guys, truthfully, it's going to be harder for you to find somebody who has the same willingness to work hard to improve their situation. It's been my observation, and this is depressing to say, that most people seem to be at some level giving up on their dreams and sort of like on this sort of personal, permanent, mental, emotional, and financial vacation. They just kind of, I don't know if you guys have noticed that in our industry, but there seems to be a hell of a lot of apathy. People that aren't taking responsibility, people that basically don't seem to really, they just seem to be floating along. I know, I could tell by a lot of the questions that we get from folks that we're getting a lot of new agents in the business, and I'm looking forward to seeing those new agents in the business, new agents especially that have other professional backgrounds, because they are going to absolutely positively seize the opportunity that real estate can be. And those of you who are just sort of, shuffling along thinking that your tenure in the business because you have a center of influence past client list will get you further down the road, I think you're going to be in for a huge surprise. So, Jules, what's the next point?
Point number 7, commit to working 5 days a week for 8 hours daily minimum in real estate. More is okay. You do not have the luxury of excuses or poor time management. Just get to work. And I see this time and again, Tim. Some agents have to get so close to the edge for them to just forget about all the, I'm a poor time manager, this is distracting and that's distracting, blah, blah, blah. When you guys get close enough financially to the edge, you simply get to work. So why not do that every day instead of waiting until you're panicking?
Well, that goes back to the old motivation thing, right? I mean, you ask a group of agents, what motivates you more, the carrot or the stick? What motivates you more, you getting something or you losing something? Everyone in the audience, agents will always answer the same way. I'm more motivated by the idea of working towards something. But you know what? It's not true, and you need to recognize the fact that that's not true, and I'll prove it to you. Virtually everybody is motivated by losing something. Listen, pay very close attention, that they already have. Losing something that you already have is the best motivator you're ever going to find. If you're going to lose something that you perceive you already have, that will get you off your butt faster than, say, I'm going to work hard this month because I want to buy a new iPod. That's kind of motivational. But if I say, or if you say, well, I'll give you a better example. You see a lot of times people will only lose weight, and lots of weight, when their doctor sits them down, looks them in the eye, and said, listen, you need to lose this hundreds of pounds or whatever, or you're going to develop this disorder, and we're going to have to start slicing off your fingers and your feet and your toes and whatnot because of poor circulation. It's only until the doctor says, listen, if you don't stop smoking, these are the problems that you're going to manifest to yourself, and these are the problems you're going to have down the road, and it's going to shorten your lifespan. It's only until somebody says, listen, you're out of financial options, and if you don't actually get to work and produce this amount of money, that you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose everything you've worked so hard for. That's what motivates people in every case, and there really are no differences. Now, it gets to a point where you have enough, I hope all and pray all of you experience this, where you have enough money, where you have enough financial security. But still, if you want to go to the next level, use the fear of losing what you already have. There were surveys taken, Julie. I didn't tell you this. Lots and lots of surveys of people that have a net worth of around $5 million, because $5 million is when, you're in this country at this point considered wealthy, not rich. I think rich is $10 million. I don't remember the whole survey. But when asked what those people are worried about, people with a net worth of $5 million, their number one answer was preserving wealth. Does that surprise you?
Interesting.
Does that surprise you? It does?
Preserving wealth. Okay, so you're playing into fear of losing what you've already built.
That's right, and that's what motivates them. They're reporting back. Yeah, they're saying, I'm worried about losing what I already have. And these are people with $5 million. So it makes sense that somebody with $500 is also going to be fearful of the same thing. Understand that about yourself, and understand the fact that you're motivated by losing what you already have, and don't be convincing yourself otherwise, and leverage that. Take advantage of that. Create fear if you need to create motivation. I do that as a coach to my clients. Sometimes I'll be coaching somebody who has millions of dollars, who is very successful. They have multiple homes. We've had people coaching clients that have their own jets. And let me tell you, motivating those people is challenging sometimes. They just like to sort of stay complacent and preserve what they already have. So they'll come to the call and they'll say, I want to accomplish this, that, and the other. And so in order to motivate them, you have to say, okay, fine, I'll support you. Here's the plan. Let's create it. And then if you don't accomplish these particular tasks on the dates that you selected for yourself, you're going to have to pay, and it has to be a pretty onerous fine, thousands and thousands of dollars. And then they're motivated because they don't want to have to lose what they already have.
You wouldn't think that. You would think that they would just, be more motivated by the carrot, right? So I think that you can tell, are you a carrot or a stick person, not based on what you say or what you think you're supposed to say, but what your actions are. And in the past, what has gotten you off the dime, right?
And but forget the notion that there's a carrot person, because there isn't. The fact is,
I would agree with that. Yeah,
everybody's a stick person. Don't convince yourself otherwise. So maybe the way you think of it is you're going to motivate yourself not with a stick by beating yourself with a carrot. I don't know how else to say it. But all psychological studies have proven basically that that's what motivates people, fear of losing what they already have, not trying to get something they don't have. Freedom might be a good motivator for you, right? So you just have to open your mind to the possibilities of really what it's going to take to get you motivated. So, Julie, what's the next point?
Okay, and again, we're going through rules. This may take a couple of calls for us to present everything. Another rule, number 8, do not associate with anyone negative starting now. You don't have time for it. Now is a good excuse to say, I'm sorry, you're taking me off my schedule, we'll talk about it later, and then just getting rid of that person. Number 9, remind yourself daily.
Well, hold on. We talked before about other radio shows about having a media-free morning, a media-free life. You guys, go back and listen to the past radio shows, how incredibly important and powerful that can be. But Julie is actually taking it to another level with her last point. She's saying that there are people, whether you know it or not, who are in your life right now who are doing and saying things that are actually destructive. Now, do they know that they're doing it? Usually not. And here's the unfortunate, sad part, is those are usually the people that are the closest to you. Their internal motivation for wanting to have you not change is because it makes them uncomfortable. There's a story, it's been used forever, it's kind of a little parable, but it's so powerful. It's the whole crabs in a bucket thing. You know, I'm always surprised when I tell the story. Some people have never heard it before, so I have to remember that. It might be new information for some people, but here's the gist of it. And I've actually seen this, so I know it's true. If you take, 3 or 4 crabs and you put them in a bucket, and one of the crabs is smart enough to say, I'm going to try to get the hell out of this bucket because, this bucket's too small for all of us, and I'm guessing that a bunch of crabs being in a bucket is not going to end. It's not going to end well, so I'm getting out of this situation. But what happens is one crab tries to escape the bucket, you will actually see the other crabs pull him back in. So fishermen don't have to put tops and lids and whatnot on crab buckets. They can leave them uncovered when they're on the boat because the crabs will keep themselves in the bucket. People are the exact same way. And again, the challenging part is oftentimes the people that are going to try to keep you in the bucket are your friends and your family. They don't want you to change. They want you to stay the same. A lot of people, what they avoid more than anything, what terrorizes them more than anything is change. So in other words, we are all designed to evolve to change. But that, for some people, is absolute terror. They want to stay in the exact same situation financially. They want to stay in the same location physically, obviously. They want to keep everything identical. Change to them, for whatever psychological reason, is the absolute worst thing. And here you are showing up, somebody that maybe it's your father, your sister, your brother, your best friend, and you're saying, you know what, my current situation, which, by the way, is identical to their current situation, isn't good enough for me anymore. And so in order to essentially, that you're rejecting, in a lot of ways, their beliefs, you're rejecting their lifestyles, you're rejecting at least how they'll perceive it, their values. So don't be surprised when those people don't try to support you. The reality of it is by broadcasting your goals and your intentions to your friends and family is oftentimes the worst thing you can do. The worst thing you can do is tell people what you intend to do. Here, how about that for non-conventional wisdom with regards to goal setting? Don't tell people. You can tell your accountability partner, you can tell your coach, but certainly don't tell the people around you because they will not support you in most cases. Julie, do you have anything to contribute to that? Because I know you see that all the time.
I do. Well, this is one of the biggest reasons people have a coach. I hear this all the time, is that people will say to me, you're the only other person that cares about my business. You're the only other person that cares that I'm moving forward. And that's okay. I also hear, I look at you as my broker because my broker's not supportive, that kind of thing. So that's okay. The broker won't understand,
right? I mean, the broker won't understand why they're doing things differently. When you guys take a lot of the ideas that we teach you as far as, in our coaching program, and you take them to your towns, I promise you, there are agents who are going to think you're doing something illegal. There are agents who are going to think that somehow because you're not suffering like they are, or because you went from, we sold 103 houses our first year. How did we sell 103 houses our first year? Well, guess what? We didn't listen to pretty much anybody who was telling us your first year and your second year, you're going to struggle. Hopefully you've got 6 months of savings. Does that sound familiar, everyone?
It's normal to be broke.
Oh, no, you can't expect, you're just going to have to work with first-time buyers. And if you get a listing here and there, well, praise the Lord. And then maybe eventually you can work up, if you're lucky, to more expensive houses. And Julie and I were like, why? Who set that rule? Right?
Yeah,
so we skipped all of that, and we, basically that's what we did, 103 houses our first year. You don't have to sell 103 houses your first year in real estate or this year or ever. Whatever it is that you have to do to accomplish your personal goals, that's what your specific benchmark is for you to be a superstar. There is no rules. When you're meeting or exceeding your goals, you are a superstar. But please, be conscious and never forget the crabs in a bucket story. And a little quick side story, when you tell the crabs in a bucket story to somebody else, if they find the story offensive or annoying, it's because they know they're a crab that's going to try to pull you back down, and you're confronting them, and they don't want to have that. They don't want to admit that they know they're a crab. Please, guys, it's a hard lesson. It's painful, especially when it comes to your friends and your family. But if you're really going to want to accomplish something magnificent in your life, you're going to have to be willing to swim against the tide. Another little quick side note, having personally experienced this, Julie and I both, what happens is after you break away and you get out of that bucket and you start doing something better with your life, all those people that were trying to hold you down, either intentionally or unintentionally, subconsciously or whatnot, you've now given them the path to escape that same situation. You've now shown them that because you can better yourself, that they can do the same thing. Now, it takes time. Sometimes it takes years. But all those people that you felt weren't supportive will come around as they see you being consistently successful, and then you all of a sudden have created a leadership position in the eyes of your friends and your family, and you've, in a lot of ways, done, I'm going to say it, God's work, because you've shown them how to improve themselves through your actions versus just talking about it. That is significant stuff, guys, that hopefully all of you get to experience in your lives. So, Julie, do we have time for another point?
Yes, I'll do another quick point so we can wrap all of the rules up. So point number 10, final rule, ask for help when you need it. If you run into anything on the plan, which I think we'll probably be presenting on tomorrow's show, you run into a point, you don't know exactly how to implement it, maybe you're having a tough time actually following these things, ask for help. Don't just say, oh, I guess it's not for me. I'm going to try the plan. Remember one of our previous shows, there is no try. It's either do or do not. That's what this is about, getting you out of survival mode. So it's okay to ask for help when you need it. It's not okay not to ask and to just do nothing.
That's right. Very important point. Okay, so Julie, one more point, and I think that we're going to have to wrap.
Okay, so next point is the start of the actual plan. So let me just say what the plan is meant to do. The plan will create 3 new listings, 3 new buyers, and 3 pendings, and 3 closings in the next 90 days or less, as long as you implement 100% of the plan. And again, this has been proven, not just by us, because guess what? We did this plan, but also by many of our coaching clients, and you can check that out at superstarinterviews.com. Back to you, Tim.
Okay, perfect. So listen, guys, we're going to get back to these points, and we're also going to be talking about the previous topic, which is how to be motivated every day or how to get unstuck. You're seeing and feeling a lot of our intention from this show is motivating you guys, but not just giving you a lot of rah-rah, feel-good, that type of thing. We're giving you practical information that, frankly, if you're smart, which I know all of you are, you can put into action. You can put yourself into a position to help other people and make money. Seize the opportunity that is the beginning of hopefully will work out to be a 7 to 10 year corrective real estate cycle. Make this your real estate market. Stop convincing yourself that you have to wait around for something to happen. Decide now that 2014 is your year. So Julie and I will be back tomorrow between 2 and 3 Central, 12 and 1 West Coast time. We look forward to talking with all of you then. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Remember your homework. What is your homework, guys? Go and share this radio show with as many other people as you can. Tweet it, Facebook it, do whatever. Help us get the word out. Thank you and have a fantastic day.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows. And until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.